Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the debate season. We are gathered here today for a spirited exchange of the ideas, clash of intellects, and celebration of the art of the persuasions. I'm the foreigner Mendiroski, and I'm honored to be your moderator for this debate. Now let's take a moment to acknowledge and welcome our distinguished panelists. The wealth of their knowledge and appetites they are bringing to our discussion today is truly formidable. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to panel 1, Nushafika binti Swastika, panel 2, Maizura binti Antari, panel 3, Nur Alisa Hanis binti Muhammad Khairul, panel 4, Adana Bakis binti Safri, and panel 5, Muhammad Akib Ucap. The first issue we will discuss is the decision made by the government of India to declare India wins against COVID-19. Although there was uncertainty of the real situation, in my perspective, I choose to agree with the statement because of the political considerations. Governments, especially during election periods, often make decisions to showcase achievements and instill confidence among the citizens. The declaration of the victory could have been a strategic move to demonstrate effective governance and crisis management. How about you, Shafika?
Well, I disagree with it because I understand that the government of India may want to provide some positivity and hope by declaring a victory against COVID-19. However, it is important to consider that the situation with the pandemic can be complex and constantly evolving. It is crucial to rely on accurate and up-to-date information from reliable sources such as health organizations and experts to assess the real situation. What about you, Adriana Balkis?
I beg to differ because based on the issue, I agree with the decision made by the government of India because it is a positive and motivational message for the people of India who has suffered a lot during the pandemic. It is also a way of acknowledging the efforts and sacrifices of the frontliners and the citizens who followed the health protocols. Declaring victory over COVID-19 does not mean that the government is ignoring the real situation, but rather that it is confident and hopeful about the future. What about your opinion on this, Maizura?
I agree with the issue. Indian people should be proud or happy when their country make declaration that they win fight pandemic. Many things can certify that they did together. Other than that, India election is important, so they are on guard until election can be happen. How about you, Muhammad Nakib?
I disagree with the Indian government decision to declare victory against COVID-19. It is because this move is made at a critical time and there's uncertainty about the actual situation. It looks like more political move to gain support for upcoming elections rather than honest assignment for situation of pandemic. How about you, Elisa?
I totally get where you're coming from, but it's important to be cautious where there is uncertainty surrounding the real situation. Making such statement without clear evidence can lead to misinformation, but I personally disagree with the decision made by the government, especially when it comes to something as critical as COVID-19, because uncertainty can make it difficult to fully understand the situation.
Thank you. The second issue we will discuss the Indian citizen decision and religious group to push for ease of the rule for lockdown to allow them to return to work and hold festival to honor their religion. In my perspective, I choose to disagree with this statement because potential for increased transmissions. Easy lockdown rules without adequate precaution can lead to increased transmissions of the virus. Large gathering at workplace and religious festival may become hotspot of the spread of COVID-19, potentially overwhelming the healthcare system and causing a surge in cases. Maizura, how about you?
I disagree when the Indian people to get the government to ease the rule during the COVID pandemic. It is because they have to live a new norm. They need to respect the other frontline security working hard to prevent outbreak. Regulation have reduced the spread of the virus. How about you, Nur Alisa?
I understand that many Indian citizens and religious groups are eager to resume work and celebrate festival to honor their religion, but it's important to consider to balance between economic needs and public health. While it's understandable to want to return to normality, it's crucial to prioritize the safety and well-being of everyone. Therefore, I disagree with this issue. The decision to ease lockdown rules should be based on expert advice and detailed assessment of the situation. What about you, Adriana?
I couldn't agree more because I also disagree with the issue that Indian citizens and religious groups who want to ease the lockdown rules because they are putting themselves and others at risk of contracting and spreading COVID-19. They haven't yet achieved herd immunity or sufficient vaccination coverage, and they are facing new variants of the virus that are more contagious and deadly. Easing the lockdown rules does not mean that they are faithful or hardworking, but rather that they are selfish and reckless. What about your opinion, Nur Shafika?
I also disagree with the issue because I understand that the citizen and religious group in India may have their reason for wanting to ease lockdown restriction and hold their religion. It is important to recognize that people have different perspectives and prioritize, especially when it comes to their religion. What about you, Nakib?
Yeah, I agree with the people and religion group who support the easing for lockdown restriction. In my point of view, people need to work to maintain their life, and religious groups play important roles in society.
Next, we will delve into an issue that touches on this matter more deeply. The third issue will discuss the decision by government of India to export of the vaccine to other countries when there is a shortage of the vaccine for local usage. In my perspective, I choose to agree with this statement because for ensuring vaccination coverage, prioritizing local vaccine distribution ensure that a larger proportion of the population can be vaccinated, contributing to achievement of herd immunity. This is crucial for preventing further outbreaks and reducing the overall impact of the virus on public health. Adriana, can you share about your opinion?
I agree with the decision by the government of India to ban export of vaccines to other countries because it is a matter of national security and public health. India has the world's second largest population and the second highest number of COVID-19 cases, and it needs to prioritize its own people's safety and well-being. Banning export of vaccines doesn't mean that India is isolationist or indifferent, but rather that it is pragmatic and responsible. What do you think about this, Nur Alisa?
It can be frustrating to see vaccine being exported when there's a shortage for local use. However, it's important to understand that government have to balance their responsibility to their own citizens and their commitment to global cooperation. This decision to ban vaccine export might be a way to prioritize the immediate needs of their own people. So I agree with the decision made by the government to ban vaccine export in a way to address the shortage of vaccine for local use, as they aim to ensure that everyone in India has access to the vaccine. What do you think, Roshavika?
I agree with the issue because ensuring an adequate supply of vaccine for the local population is a top priority. By prioritizing local usage, the government can focus on vaccinating its citizens and controlling the spread of the virus within the country. This approach may be seen as a necessary step to protect the health and well-being of the Indian population. What about you, Nakib?
I strongly disagree with the Indian government's decision to ban the export of vaccination. While addressing a local shortage is important, we are in the global disease. International cooperation is a key overcoming the endemic, and withholding vaccine from other countries would have direct consequences. How about you, Mazura?
I agree. Priority is a domestic needs. When the country is facing a shortage of vaccine, it's not good way if available vaccine are exported to other countries. The act of exporting vaccine can be considered because it does not fulfill the responsibility.
Thank you for your explanation. The fourth issue, we will discuss the decision by vaccine manufacturers to breach the contract that they are entered into the instructed by the government of India. In my perspective, I choose to disagree with this statement because of the legal consequences. Breaching contract can lead to legal consequences, including the potential for lawsuits and financial penalties. Disagree with the decision, acknowledge the legal risk faced by vaccine manufacturers, and emphasize the importance of adhering to contractual obligations. Do you agree or disagree about this, Alisa?
In my opinion, it can be concerning when vaccine manufacturers violate a contract instructed by the government of India. Therefore, I disagree with this issue. It is important for manufacturers to uphold their commitments and fulfill their obligation. However, without specific details about the situation, it's difficult to provide a definite answer. It's possible that there may be forgiven circumstances or reason behind the decision. What do you think, Muhammad Akib?
I agree with vaccination manufacturing decision to prioritize the domestic responsibility over international contract. If the government order them to force on local need, they are obligated to comply, even it means breaking the contract. How about you, Mazura?
I disagree. They think that this matter does not need to take seriously until finally the cases in their country are increasing. The government has reduced the rules a little bit, but the people take it easy and take advantage of it due to some people ignoring health protocol. These cases are increasing. How about you, Shafika?
I agree with the issue because the government instructed the vaccine manufacturer to prioritize the needs of the local population due to the shortage of vaccine. By breaching the contract, the manufacturers are aligning themselves with the government's effort to ensure that their citizens have access to the vaccine they need. This decision may be seen as a way to address the immediate health concern within the country. What about you, Adriana?
I agree with the issue because it is a matter of global solidarity and human rights. India has already vaccinated a large proportion of its population and has enough doses to cover the rest, while many other countries are still struggling to get access to the vaccines. Breaching the contract does not mean that the vaccine manufacturers are disloyal or greedy, but rather that they are compassionate and ethical.
Thank you for your explanation. And now we go to the fifth issue. We discuss the decision made by the other countries to ban the export of the raw material to produce vaccine to India in retaliation of the act of the Indian vaccines manufacturer. In my perspective, I choose to agree with this statement because this is for ensuring compliance with agreements. If the action of Indian vaccine manufacturers were in breach of the agreements or contracts, agree with the export then underscore the importance of ensuring compliance with international agreements. It supports the idea that countries must adhere to mutually agree upon terms to maintain trust and cooperation. Nakib, can you give your voice about this matter?
I totally do not agree with other nations bans on raw material export to India. Action like this simply make the world situation worse. Rather than causing tension on rise, we would have to promote collaboration and assistance. How about you, Shafika?
I disagree with the issue because one possible reason could be that it could hinder the global fight against the pandemic. By restricting the flow of raw material, it may affect India's ability to produce vaccine, which could have ripple effect on the global supply chain. Cooperation and support from all countries are essential in ensuring widespread access to vaccine and controlling the spread of the virus worldwide. What about you, Maizula?
I disagree if other country ban to export raw material to India. If the country has not been able need for entire domestic population, exporting the vaccine could result in the risk of wider spread of the virus within the country. It is important to ensure that people in one country are protected before thinking about others' country. This action was taken for good reason. Other countries cannot easily block raw materials that should be necessary for Indian countries. How about you, Alisa?
I respect your opinion. It can be frustrating to see other countries get even by banning the export of raw materials for vaccine production to India. But while it may seem unfair, it's important to remember that countries have their own priorities and interests to consider. Sometimes the decisions are made to protect their own citizens. So I do agree with other countries' decision to ban the export of raw material to produce vaccine to India. In such situation, diplomacy and negotiation play a crucial role in finding a resolution. What do you think, Adriana Balkis?
Yeah, you're right. I also disagree with the decision made by the other countries to ban the export of raw material and to produce vaccines to India because it's a matter of global cooperation and justice. India is facing a severe second wave of COVID-19 and it needs all the support and resources it can get to supplies and contain the virus. Banning export of raw material does not mean that the other countries are protecting their own interests or punishing India, but rather that they are undermining the global fight against the pandemic and violating the human right to health.
Lastly, before we end our debate season, if the same situation happened in Malaysia, one of the important things we need to do is transparency in all communication. Ensure transparent communication with the public about the current situation, acknowledging challenge and uncertainties, provide clear and accurate information on the status of the COVID-19 situation, vaccine availability, and government actions. How about you, Shafiqa?
I think the best ethical way to handle it may be by prioritize public health. The well-being and safety of the population should be the primary concern. Any decision made should aim to protect and promote the health of the people in Malaysia. What about you, Adriana Balkis?
I think the ethical way to handle the situation if it happens in Malaysia is to balance the needs and rights of both the local and the global population. Malaysia should not ban export of vaccines or raw materials to other countries, but rather share them equitably and transparently according to the global allocation framework. This way, Malaysia can contribute to the global effort to end the pandemic while also protecting its own people and interests. How about you, Muhammad Nakib?
And the government should prioritize public health, but it's equally important to work with the international community to address the disease severity. We need to find a balance between protection our citizens and fulfill our international responsibility. How about you, Alisa?
If the same situation happened in Malaysia, I believe that there are some ethical way to handle the situation. Handling the situation ethically would involve striking a balance between public health and the needs of people. It's important for the government to prioritize the safety and well-being of its citizens, while also considering the economic and religious aspect. Implementing strict safety protocols such as social distancing, mask wearing, and regular testing can help to lessen the risk. What do you think, Maizura?
The last way, countries should communicate openly and transparently about their health solution, including the vaccines or test benefits. This can help other countries understand the situation and find a common solution together.
In concluding the discussion above, it is important to underscore that addressing a crisis, as discussed, requires a holistic approach that prioritizes public health, adherence to contractual agreements, international cooperation, and fairness and transparency in management. By understanding the various aspects involved, we can build a resilient and responsible society in the face of the future challenge. Thank you for your participating in these discussions, and let's us work together to strive for equitable and ethical resolution in potential similar situations that our nation may encounter. Thank you.